For many DePaul Republicans, the election brought out the polarization in this country.
I truly believe that 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 this was an election that had a lot riding on it. I think for both sides. I think there are a lot of values that are at stake because unfortunately this country has become so polarized with certain beliefs on either side. And as someone gonna put this out here who is rather centrist in these regards, it's kind of been very interesting to see um, kind of how these issues and how these hot button issues, kind of like immigration, abortion, um, eh, gun control, things that have to deal with the war on drugs, how they've all been kind of taken under the wing of either the right or left side. And I think that a lot of people really held steadfast to these issues and kind of started to latch on either more to the Democratic side or to the Republican side.
Young voters came out in high numbers compared to past elections. According to the Center for Information and Research on Civic Learning and Engagement at Tufts University, the youth vote ages 18 to 29 was 53% this year, an 8% rise from 2016.
In terms of what the Biden campaign did in order to garner the young vote, I honestly think it was pretty congratulatory. I thought that it was a good tactic because especially with a bunch of 18 to 24-year-olds who may have never voted in an election before, they really kind of got them inspired to do so. But I think that kind of on the flip side of that, I think that there were a lot of people who either resonated with what Trump was saying or what, more conservative voices were saying in the political sphere, and whether that was through watching like their shows or their podcasts or something like that, just following them over the last 4 years of the Trump presidency. I think that kind of encouraged some of the more right-leaning young voices to get out there and vote because they thought that their voice was just as valid and just as important, and they wanted to again make a difference, kind of like the Biden campaign was trying to do.
I'm very interested to see what what Congress looks like in like 50 years or 40 years when all these college kids are grown up and are actually running for government positions, because I've heard some really good ideas. I hear more good ideas than bad ideas from both sides. I just hope like companies stop buying like Congress people and we can just start like actually trying to get like, work for people, get things in the right direction. I wouldn't say like Joe Biden is a good start to that, but I also wouldn't, Trump isn't a good start to it either. I'm disappointed that the Democratic Party picked a candidate like that, because if you really think about it, they could have picked anyone. They could probably beat Trump. Like Trump's not a hard candidate to beat. So it was like their wild card to pick whoever they wanted. And I was disappointed with who they ended up going with. So I hope like, us younger people take control of the parties and start either breaking apart the two-party system or making it better in some way.
Despite Trump's loss, many Republicans feel his administration has made a lasting impact on the Republican Party and conservatives.
I think that the Republican Party is going to continue to embrace these policy views, reducing the amount of regulation in the economy and so forth. But Mr. Trump's biggest legacy, I think, is going to be the courts, both the Supreme Court as well as the district courts, because he has appointed so many, on my side, so many fine judges that will have an effect upon the society for a very long time.
Fraud.
The Trump administration has filed lawsuits in several states claiming voter fraud.
There is certainly a chance that there has been fraud, that the courts should make sure that the states count ballots the way that laws say they're supposed to be counted, because it's under the control of the states. And I think that Mr. Trump should take every legal action that is at his disposal to make sure that when we have a final vote and a final decision, that we can all have some degree of confidence. if we don't do that, if we simply allow the numbers to go through without, in a sense, fighting to make sure that everything is legal, then I think that will create more of a division, that there will be much less trust in the quality of the results.
Election officials throughout the country have denied these claims, saying they simply counted the votes and no fraud was committed. For Good Day DePaul, I'm Crystal Hoeg.